Hi, folks. Gary Ryan here, author of Yes for Success, How to Achieve Life Harmony and Fulfillment. I am so lucky to be invited back for a second time by Prosper Taruvinga on the Online Prosperity Show to talk about why I wrote the book, who it's for, and how this can help you draw out your extraordinary self. I look forward to you joining us. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show, where we uncover the secrets of success and fulfillment in this modern world that we are in today. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today, get ready to dive into one of the most captivating decisions I think we've had in a long while. And this will be the second time we're having this guest on the Online Prosperity Show. Now, Gary, I could go on and on trying to introduce you to people that already know who you are and they're thirsty to hear what you've got for them. How you been, man?
Prosper, I have been doing really well. I'm up and about. We need people up and about in this country, as you are and I am. We need that. We need to get this economy moving, and I'm delighted to be here with you.
For those that are meeting Gary for the very first time, I'm just going to take you out of the little rock you've been hiding under. First of all, this is not his first rodeo, especially on the Online Prosperity Show. We've had Gary as a guest, and he was talking about his business. But today, he's talking about his new book, Yes for Success. That's why I was a little bit excited there, Gary. Before I introduced, I was about to say, yes for success. Fantastic. And congratulations, my man. I mean, obviously, it's been a journey, since the last time we spoke, and now the book and the audiobook. Tell us, what's it been like? And what can people expect in this book that you've just launched?
Well, yeah, the book and the audio book, as you said, it's just come out live yesterday, although that'll be a bit different by the time this goes live for folk. And they can check that out. I'm sure you'll have a link in the show notes about that for folks. But Yes for Success is really about helping people create and identify their vision for themselves, and then most importantly, work out for their unique requirements what they need to do for what I call life harmony and fulfillment. And there's a lot of talk about life balance and work-life balance. I'm more of an advocate for life harmony and understanding that there are multiple aspects, or I call them 6 key elements for success that are necessary for people to achieve their unique version of success, whatever that is. But these 6 elements have just proven to be required by everyone over time, and lots of research that I've done over successful people. And this includes people that look successful but actually aren't when they go home and are with themselves. So this is about understanding that harmonious view of success, which means that my definition of what that looks like, someone else could look at it and say, that's not for me. And that's 100% okay. So what I've found, Prosper, is people understand that they should have a personal vision, some plan or direction as to where they want to go, that they can manifest, if you like, for their future. I think people get that they need that's important. But then there's a problem for most people. Well, how the hell do I do that? How do I actually create my vision? How do I do that? So Yes for Success helps people understand themselves first. We take them on a journey of self-research, and then we help guide them to discovering what their answer is. And now that I've had over 10,000 people in online and physical programs do the course since 2010, so it's got a lot of testing, if you like, behind it, I've never had anyone that actually couldn't come up with some answers to the journey that I take people through. They do have their answers. Yes for Success, it acts like a magnet and basically draws it out of you. Then that creates the second challenge, though, is, okay, now I've got my vision. What do I have to do? How do I make it come alive? How do I create it? And so with Yes for Success, I've got a very clear structure, a system, if you like, that enables people to walk through the process with those 6 key elements for success to identify exactly what they need to do. And then we even take it to the next level where they're able to work out, well, what do I need to do in the next 90 days? Like, what do I need to do right now? What are the most high leverage actions that might actually tick off 3 or 4 things in one effort, rather than it just being everything has to be individualized? So what does that look like? An example might be I've got 5 children, and let's say I want to and I'll actually give you a real example. And I love my motorcycle riding. I go and organize tours every year. 2 weeks ago today, I took my youngest son on the back of my motorbike for a 1,200-kilometer 2-day journey, where we ended up staying in the high country in the state of Victoria here in Australia, and he was on the back of my motorbike. So I'm getting to create a life experience with him that both of us will never forget, and that's about my relationship with him. And as a father of 5, you got to find a way to dedicate individualized time to not only my children but also my beautiful wife Michelle. Living my passion, and I have passions, but living one of my passions is part of helping me stay mentally healthy and authentic and true to who I am. And living my passion gives me energy for all the things that I need to do in my life. And Yes for Success helps people work this stuff out. So the one act of the 2-day holiday was doing many things all in the same time. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And yeah, thank you so much for this glimpse into your life and what you're doing in order to help people be doing have a happier existence. Now, so many people, like you say, are yearning for clarity and purpose in their life. And I think this book has come at a time where in the last couple of years, what people thought was their purpose or what was their passion, they were told it's non-essential. And for 2 years, nobody needed most of the things that they are doing. Now, could you tell us how this book can literally cut through that confusion and give people back to themselves, like you say it does?
Well, the power of the book is the structure that it has, Prosper, and that it will, as I said, act as a magnet and draw out people's answers. I've just, again, 10,000 people. I just know it works now. And the power of it is that so many people, and the pandemic is probably what you were referring to before about, getting stuck. The pandemic has really brought to the surface a heap of things for a lot of people, but equally for a lot of people, the work that they do to earn their living is wrong for them. But they've sort of externalized responsibility for that to either their existing employer, previous employers, their parents, you name it. It's out there is where the problem is for that reality for them. Now, everyone's stuck because we've got to earn an income one way or another. Most of us, the vast majority of us, are absolutely required to earn an income to live in this world. And I just had a coaching session this morning with one of my clients, and they're a leader of a team. This is a fascinating example of what I'm trying to explain here. Eight people in this person's team, a woman, so in her team, and they had a new position, so a 9th person coming in. 4 of the 8 people went for that new position. None of them got it because they weren't good enough. The new position was a higher paying position. This is important. The new person's now joined the team, and those 4 people, unfortunately, are behaving poorly towards the new person in the team.
It's only natural because, that person is eating their lunch.
Well, that's what they think. That's their mental model. That's their view of the world, right? Now, when I queried the manager today about what's the possible, in reality, did this job suit the skill sets and talents of the 4 people that went for it? And her honest reply was, no, that's why we went external anyway. Right. Now, a number of the team members have been in that organization for 8+ years. So part of their mental model, part of their perspective is, I've sat in the seat for 8 years. I deserve this. Surely isn't that how the world works? If you're in the seat long enough, the opportunity should come,
Well,
which
that's
is,
entitlement.
that's entitlement. 100% it's entitlement. But that's what you do when you externalize responsibility for your self-development. And I'm seeing this in workplaces everywhere, Prosper. It's why I'm so passionate about this book. And people are blaming the leaders and the organizations for their own disengagement. And again, we know globally through the Gallup State of the Workplace report that came out the 12th year in a row, it's moved by 1% up or down for 12 years. But fundamentally, 78% of people globally, and Australia is exactly that number, are disengaged in the workplace. It cannot be all of the leaders' faults for the disengagement when the statistics are lasting that long. There's another problem here. And the problem here is that people have externalized responsibility for their development. So many people, and this is my evidence too. I think you know this stat. CEOs are reported to be reading 60 books a year, and the average person is reading or listening to less than one book a year, and the probability that that one book a year is a romance novel is higher than any other genre. Now, I'm sorry, you're probably not going to get a lot of self-development out of a romance novel.
What's love got to do with this, Gary?
Right? I'm not having a go at romance novels, right? But what I'm saying is that people are going, so let's come back to this scenario. I think I'm entitled to get a position because I've been there long enough. What I really want, though, and this data is not available in Australia. I have not been able, through digging and digging and digging through the Australian Bureau of Statistics, to find this data. I don't believe it actually is available. In the USA, however, it is available, and that is that 76% of the US population are working paycheck to paycheck. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Now, that's actually over 300 million people in the wealthiest country in the world are living paycheck to paycheck, which for your listeners and viewers means that they're one incident away from being significantly behind financially, and they know it. Now, anyone that thinks that doesn't create stress in your life is kidding themselves. So my hypothesis here in this scenario I'm just describing in this workplace is that the 4 people who went for that job went for the job not because it was the right job for them, but because it offered more money as the main and possibly even single driver. And then because they didn't get the job, which means they didn't get the more money, that's a problem because in our country, we don't talk about money. That's a problem they can't talk about. It's known as an undiscussable. So they talk about the other issue is, you didn't trust me to do that job. You don't think I'm good enough, and completely externalize it. And now we're going to victimize the new person, which is terrible behavior. Now, I bet each one of these people are decent human beings. And if they had a video camera on their behavior, Prosper, they would be very disappointed with what they were witnessing, most likely. Okay? Yeah, does that sound fair?
Oh, absolutely. And let's just dwell on that a little bit, because this is people that are refusing to take ownership of their own livelihood, their own endeavors, and they're literally refusing to say yes for whatever success can ensue if somebody just applies themselves. And right. So obviously, what do you think causes this like you say, external focus instead of internalizing your own success in order for you to and have a happier existence?
Well, I think unfortunately, so many people's experience of their school education is not a happy experience. So then they form a mental model, even if they did okay, even if they got reasonably good grades, it really wasn't a great experience for a lot of people, right? It was a grind, an educational grind. So you know what they say? All this learning stuff, that's just a grind, man. Why would I want to do that? Now, a human being is designed to follow the path of least resistance. And if anyone wants to argue with me about that, go and have a look at a park in a quadrangle where they've got a path through the park, but there's a shortcut across the grass
Yeah.
and watch the grass get worn out where the human beings will take the shortcut to get to the corner faster rather than follow the path that actually goes around. You see this at traffic light islands and stuff like that, where they've got the concrete path over here, but everyone actually walks over here and even walks across the road at the shortest, the path to least resistance. It's what humans do. It's what animals even do. So the shortest path to least resistance is what people are going to do. And so with all of these factors combining, it makes it a lot easier to not take responsibility for yourself, but then complain about the consequences of it.
But
right?
you're saying that, that whole park scenario is something obviously that is, well-worn path that people follow because things have always been done like this in this area. So it creates like very little decision making, because if I know that this is how it's always been, why would I want to reinvent the wheel? So somebody might be sitting there and saying, Gary, do I have to walk in right angles when I can, use the shortest path to or take a shortcut? And for fear of, if I then go that way, I might actually miss out on certain things that I would have found on my quickest way to whatever convenience they're going towards. So I don't know, maybe you can address that a little bit.
Well, to be honest, yes for success is going to be the quickest way for people. It's going to help them to discover their unique quickest way. Right now, one of the things I talk about right at the start of the book, and I think you'll relate to this, Prosper, being a father, is I want to. So right now it might sound like I don't believe that people, because they're not taking responsibility, that there's much hope for them. Actually, I wrote the book because I fundamentally believe this core belief, and that everybody is actually already extraordinary. And what I'm wanting Yes for Success to do is to reignite the extraordinary that already lives within them. So what is my evidence for the statement everyone is already extraordinary? I'm going to wind back to when the first of my 5 children, Liam, was born. Now, my wife, unfortunately, he got stuck during the birthing process after 17 and a half hours. And the obstetrician says, we need to have a cesarean section. Let's go. 15 minutes later, right? So we're rushed off to the operating theatre. Michelle's injected this and that. Next minute, the curtain's there and they hand this baby over and he's got all the white stuff covered all over him that they have, and his face is all scrunched up, and Michelle gets a quick cuddle, but she can't feel anything and she's got to get stitched up. They check him. He's all good. They whisk me and him, after they've checked him out, off to her room and tell me, we'll come and check on you sporadically, but basically you're going to be here on your own for the next 45 minutes. Now, I, as a first-time father, I'm not expecting to be, in a room with my, what the hell do you do, man? I'm an experienced uncle, but, I did not, so there I am. Here I am holding this. Now, when I'm looking at Liam with all that gunk on him and, he's all wrapped up and his face is all screwed up, and I look down at him, was he extraordinary?
Of course, he would have been the most beautiful sight in that particular moment, or in your entire life at all, if anything.
Up until that point, 100%. I've got goosebumps remembering it right now. So I'm like, well, okay, what do I do? So I just started talking to him and talking with him and telling him about what his name was, telling him about his ancestry and his family and the different cultures that he was come from, because Michelle's family's Sri Lankan, and explaining why we had him and explaining to him who he's going to become. I was telling him, you are extraordinary and you are going to be extraordinary. Now, people might think I'm crazy, but that's what I just did it, right? Now, every single one of my other remaining 4 children that came after, right, we knew we were going to have a cesarean section, and I knew I was going to be on my own. And so I repeated the process. And again, each time I'm holding them with their little scrunched up faces, were they extraordinary? And the answer is yes, 100% they were. Now, I'm going to refer to you to one of my amazing, incredible colleagues, Nick Yerhart. Now, Nick Earhart has cerebral palsy. When he was born, he was actually not alive. He was born dead. His heart was not beating. He was not breathing. And it took several minutes for them to revive him and get him going. Right? Now, they got him alive. And then they handed him to his mother. Now, when she looked at him, was he extraordinary?
It would have been. That would have been like a really big miracle. Was she aware of what was actually happening during?
Yes, they were freaking out. And then so all he's not alive. Like a baby's supposed to cry, right? There's nothing happening for minutes. And they're working on him. And then the cry happens, right? Now, it was a year later that they discovered that the whole birthing experience had caused him to have cerebral palsy. So he is a very high level of cerebral palsy. He's now 31 years of age, and he is an unbelievably extraordinary human being doing unbelievably extraordinary things, helping people who suffer with a lack of confidence, self-confidence. And he talks like that, and he has severe challenges. He had to learn how to walk twice. And I give the audience Nick's example because, coming back to my statement, he was also born extraordinary. So if you've got my children through to Nick and everyone in between, everyone is born extraordinary. And then something happens here to stop us believing it prosper. Something between being born and, for a lot of people, even when they're a child, it starts to kick in. They stop believing they're extraordinary.
I blame Netflix and Hollywood. Yeah, because they give us this whole impression that people are born, they go to kinder, they go to college, then you get married. From getting married, you maybe get a job, then you retire, and then you go on one cruise, and then you die. All in a space of 35 minutes plus commercials. So people expect it instantly, and I think that's where it all messes it up.
But and that may be true. I think that there's many forces on people that cause this. But again, what I want to do with Yes for Success is reignite the extraordinary. Now, there can only be one Oprah, there can only be one Taylor Swift, one Ed Sheeran, one Hugh Jackman. All of those super famous people. There can only be one of them. And I'm not saying to be extraordinary you have to be super famous. Just be super famous in your own little world. Like, just whatever that is, right? But imagine if more people are actually living their extraordinary version of their ordinary life. So I want to catalyze extraordinary, ordinary lives. Okay? Where I think the world will be such a better place, when more people are like exploring, well, what am I talented at? And that's, we were talking about Renata Bernardi with the Job Hunting podcast, and she's got a great tool in her suite of tools called the Talent Predicts, which actually helps people work out, well, what am I talented at? And I believe, from a work point of view, if you can understand what your talents are and you understand what your passions are, if you can find work at the intersection of those two, and I believe that when you know what those two things are, this intersection is actually really big. And so it is possible for you to find an income for you that is in there, but you've got to do the work. You've got to find out your answers. You've got to do the work. You've got to find out, well, where are those opportunities, and certainly not quit your current job while you're doing that. And equally, sometimes it's about discovering how to become passionate about something you were not previously passionate about, because you just want to get really good at it, if not great at it, because you want to be extraordinary at it. So if this thing, like there's people out there, Prosper, that just happen to be really good at some stuff. Let's take a lawyer. Someone might be just a really good lawyer, but actually they don't really like being a lawyer. But it helps them earn a really great income, and that great income they're able to contribute through donations to people and help people, and maybe do pro bono work and really help people. And Equally, if they know what their passions are and they're getting that in their life, well, then maybe they should keep being a lawyer, keep being great at that, even if it's not your passion necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but there's some aspects, Gary, like within the field where they could maybe not necessarily be in a court of law, but they could work within a company and do the legals of that company. They could work within a charity and actually do the legal work and the privacy statements and things of that nature, things that require some sort of a legal standpoint, or just be those people that maybe offer advice to entrepreneurs that are getting started and things of that nature. So I think a lot of people just need to expand their horizons. Now, in your sort of opinion, what role does continuous learning and self-improvement sort of play in maintaining success and fulfillment? Because I think this is very, very crucial, given the stat that you gave us earlier on, that so many people only read one book and it would be about romance. So in essence, people would rather talk about sex than talk about their well-being, which is the overall life that they live by. So maybe you can comment on what role continuous learning has on people, because maybe some people don't understand that.
Well, there's a very simple metaphor to answer that question. It's a great question, Prosper. How important is oxygen to human beings?
Oh, if you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, and obviously, I think the longest any human being can stay without breathing might be 4 or 5 minutes at the most. 5, yeah. And after that, that's now a case of emergency.
Yeah. So you're dead. If you don't have oxygen, you're dead. And this is the mindset or mental model, which is my language, that I would really hope people can get sparked into understanding. Learning is exactly the same as oxygen is for human beings in 2024 and beyond, and actually has been for a long time. The lack of individual responsibility for their learning is a major contributor to 76% of people working paycheck to paycheck. A major contributor. And we haven't even mentioned it yet, but I'm going to go there with AI. With AI, if you're not willing to learn and engage with it as a learner and a learning person, I'm sorry, but AI is not going to be great for you, and it certainly isn't going to be great for your hip pocket and your finances. You are going to be putting yourself at significant employability risk. That is just an unfortunate but brutal reality going forward. Human and AI will defeat human or AI every day of the week going forward, and it's already the case. Already the case.
Wow. I think from what you're saying, we're here to live, to learn, and to contribute. So in order for us to live the best life that we possibly can, we need to learn how to do that. Our health, our wealth, our finances, and also relationships, in order for us to really, really hone in on all those aspects. And like you've mentioned, there's this, life harmony that you talk about, because you can seamlessly cross over from work to playing. And I remember on Friday, I was telling you, hey, I was just waiting for your call because Friday is my day off. And I was playing with my little girl, and quickly I jumped in and we had a call, and we actually created remarkable content. So I just wish a lot of people will be able to have that, but you've put it all together in a book. Yes, for success. How can people consume it, and in what formats have you got going? Because I think that's very important. Some people might be like, book. I don't think I'll be able to sit down, but you've gone one step ahead. You have literally given them a memory of their future.
Yes, as you know, which is Dr. David Ingvar's work from Sweden, right? The Swedish neurologist. I love your memory. Well done, Prosper. There's actually 4 different ways they can consume the content. So there's the physical book, which is available through me. It's on Amazon and all good online bookshops. There's the Kindle version as well. So there's the ebook version. As of yesterday, the audiobook version, which is also available directly through me in a couple of weeks' time, will also be on Audible and all the other online platforms. But there is a way to get it through me directly, where it will go straight to their Apple Podcast app and or their Google Podcast app. Just be immediately available for them to listen to like you normally would. And then there's also very powerfully the online course that is related to the book. And the online course has all of the worksheets that are mentioned throughout the book and explained. So basically you can have your own little notebook and work your way through, or I've done all that work for you that folk can access, where they just type their answers in. It's all digital. They can do the course from their phone. It's completely mobile, and it will help them to capture their answers along whatever time frame they want to take to work through the program. And so there's multiple layers of how they can consume this. And it's okay to take some time to create this. And I encourage people that, look, your first draft will be a first draft. It's going to be hugely beneficial, but it's not going to be as good as your 10th time of doing it. And the beauty of, once they understand that the system, like any system, once you master the system, the power of repeating it and understanding how it works is the quality of what you produce is going to get better and better and better. You happy with that logic?
I love that. I love that. And I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes below. Now, Gary, indulge me for a minute here, if you may. And you know what it is when you create something this remarkable. I think you haven't given it the gravity that it actually deserves. Because I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, when you get to the age of 13, 14, 15, you're taken in by the village elders and they proverbially tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, it's your turn to lead now. So from there, you're no longer a kid. You're now an adult. You're now somebody who's got responsibility. You literally take ownership of who you are, your family, everything else that comes along after that. And that presents somewhat of a pattern break in, you now reclaiming your true self and literally going out to recreate that, till the day you die. But I noticed that, with utmost love and respect, this is not prevalent in this Western culture, where people just grow up from 3 years old to 30 and they're still just throwing tantrums and speeding the dummy. You know what I mean? And nobody is saying anything because everybody around them is just also fully grown babies. Now, what you have presented to us here, Yes for Success, the book, audiobook, and the course, as somewhat of a rite of passage for people that really, really, want to get past their fears, get past, taking full ownership of who they are, maybe, and overcome doubt and maybe imposter syndrome that might be, facing them. I don't know. Maybe you can comment on that, because that's my observation of what you have created, sir.
Yeah, well, Prosper, I'm glad and very delighted that you can see that. And your reference to many Indigenous cultures and the rite of passage to adulthood. And as you say, it creates a new pattern going forward for you. It's like it presents that moment in time when, okay, you're not a child anymore. You're now an adult. And the leadership part is you got to lead yourself. That's the message in the cultures right now. Now stand up, lead yourself, be strong. Doesn't matter what gender you are. That's the same message the world over, with such beautiful cultures that have this as part of it, right? So one of the things that I wanted to do with Yes for Success is help people do this rite of passage, where in a way they're tapping into the wisdom of their elders in their past, their wisdom that's actually in them. But I had to do it in such a way that it could be drawn out as if there's an elder there drawing it out, but they're sort of their own elder, and this is just guiding that process. Now, I want to be respectful of all cultures, okay? So I'm not saying I'm an elder, but there is a degree of, as you've hinted, that I'm trying to catalyze with this book and help people to absolutely 100% stand on their own 2 feet, Prosper.
I think this book really is the key to unlocking all that untapped potential and crafting people's future. Thank you so much for doing humanity such a grand service, sir.
You're absolutely welcome, Prosper. Thank you.
Fantastic. And there you have it, folks. A truly, truly remarkable conversation with the man, the myth, the legend, and in my own view, my elder, Gary. Thank you so much for taking the work and literally condensing it in such a way that it's easy for people to consume, either in book format, audio book, and also the course, so that people can do it in a self-paced version. All right. And I think this is the rite of passage that a lot of people need without the sinister National Geographic scenes, but you can literally do this in the privacy of your own home and really, really create the future that we all want. I don't know, Gary, maybe you've got some last words that we can let our audience know what it is that you've got in store for them.
Well, one of the most beautiful opportunities is that organizations can engage this Yes for Success program, either me directly, online, combination of both, for their employees to do. And the beauty of that is that we can create a system where people are actually celebrating at work, maybe a lot of personal successes and personal wins. And that then gets people more clear about why they're in this workplace. We create a culture of winning and celebrating wins. Now, it might be a weight loss goal that I achieve and I maintain. It could be I find a life partner. It could be I go on a lifetime trip somewhere. It could be that we get our first investment property, whatever it is. But imagine a workplace where we're actually go through a process where we can discover our own extraordinary selves, our own unique versions, but then in the workplace be allowed and encouraged to celebrate those wins and successes, to continue the positive spiral of that culture within the workplace, which creates encouragement for people to keep creating successes in the entirety of their life. This I believe is the role organizations and employers can make to help this come to life for the people in their organization, and everybody will win.
Oh, I like that, because you can't do well if you don't feel well. All right. So if there's no support of your peers and everybody else around you, there's no way you're going to want to contribute towards anything with that company. But if people are walking together, singing together, and collaborating together, great things happen. I think in my culture, we've got a statement that says, if you want to go far, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together. So for you being a CEO of a business right there, I think you need to take heed to Gary's words right there, because if you're looking to unlock your full potential and achieve unparalleled success for yourself, for your business, for your family, be sure to grab Gary's book, the audiobook, or the course, Yes for Success, and get started on your transformative journey. And remember, the power to shape your own destiny lies with you. So join us again. I think this is not the last time, Gary. We shouldn't just say goodbye to them. We should just say, till next time, bye for now.